Try not to trip, eh? Try not to trip. You remember this trail?
Let's go beach. Let's go beach. Come on, let's go beach. Let's go.
Good morning. It's Tricia from Nature Lover Canada, and we are at Achray Campground, East Campground of Algonquin Park. We've been here a couple of days, a couple of days, I can't remember. And we are... Is it really? This is the beginning of the Jack Pine Trail. We have some COVID-friendly instructions. So we made it down the Hell Road twice, and we are now going to take you on the Jack Pine Trail. It's a 1.6 kilometer return trip. It is more or less a linear trail, and it's going to go out to a beautiful sandy beach and a view of Grand Lake. And the place where one of the Group of Seven's paintings were, right?
Tom Thomson.
Tom Thomson sat out here and did I think it's called the Lone Pine or something like that?
Yep,
If
one of his most famous ones.
One of his most famous ones. So if you're familiar with the Group of Seven and Tom Thomson, you'll have an idea of what we're talking about. So we're going to head out there now and take you along on this hike before we go canoeing this afternoon. So let's go. So the very first thing we come across is this small boardwalk that goes over the drainage from an old beaver dam, I would say. Always a good indication that there's been a beaver dam. Not the only indication is jewelweed. We always see jewelweed along beaver dam. So we often see those jewelweed along the actual dams after they've been established and then abandoned. So this is a great little beginner hike in the morning or in the evening or on a hot day. So this side of Algonquin Park is particularly sandy, with deep sandy deposits we were reading about this morning due to the glacial melt.
Oh, you're gonna fall in, baby.
Hound dogs, they love their grasses, both to chew and to run through.
Come on, Chloe, let's go.
Lots of cattails out there, that's always nice. And behind, you can see the raised area. That's an old railroad, which is now, I think it's the beginning of the berm trail.
Yeah, it is.
Which we're hoping to get to, but we're kind of prioritizing canoeing, but we're going to do hopefully a little bit of both. It's a 4.5 kilometer hike, the longest one from the campground. Not including, the backpacking trails. See a lot of erratic boulders all over the place in the forests. Lots of pine trees. So this trail starts off fairly basic, just a fairly flat, wide path through the forest. But the end views are spectacular. So don't let the commonness of the beginning of the trail fool you into thinking that it's not worth the hike. And it is only 1.6 kilometers return, so you could spend the day out there. There's a beautiful beach, just as nice as the day beach. There are clam beds, so you might want to wear some kind of water shoe. You can also canoe there, obviously. Take your lunch. Be also a wonderful place to watch the sunset from, either from the beach or from the scenic outlook. Imagine what it was like for Tom Thomson to be sitting there back when this would have been even more rustic, looking out over the Grand Lake and picturing this lone pine. I imagine that he would have had no idea just what the effect that would have had on Canadian culture. And the love that a lot of Canadians and Ontarians in particular have for Algonquin Park. So a lot of these erratic boulders, as leaves and pine needles and other things land on them and then decompose, creates some soil so that mosses and sedges and even sometimes trees, ferns and other plants can grow on top of them. Of course, you can see the lichen that's over top of the rock in different places as well. So the Achray Campground, a little bit of information about that. It isn't very large. It's completely 100% off-grid in terms of campsites. There's no dump stations. There are flush toilets and sinks, electricity in the bathrooms that are located around the campground. There's an entire section that is pet-free, and I believe there's one yurt. There are no supplies down here. The closest place to get any supplies would probably be the portage store, which is, I don't even know, 35, 40 kilometers down an extremely bumpy, washboard, rutted dirt road that quite frankly made us wonder why we were coming to this campground. Now, we were pulling a trailer. It definitely makes it a lot worse. It took a long time to get down 50 kilometers. So that 50-kilometer drive from paved roads to Achray Campground took us about an hour and 20 minutes of avoiding as many holes and ruts and washboard areas on the dirt road as we could, and going like 20 to 30 kilometers the rest of the time. Imagine how bumpy something is with just your 4 tires. And then imagine, as you're avoiding things on the road with those 4 tires, that there are 4 tires behind you on your trailer that are in a different location. So every time you miss something with your truck, the trailer behind you is hitting them and kind of pulling you back every time it hits those things. It was a complete nightmare. It was horrific. I was so glad that we were staying here for 5 nights instead of just 1 or 2, because it wouldn't have been worth it. It's a beautiful park. It's a beautiful park. But that road is just absolutely terrible. So, a couple of tips. If you're going to get a canoe, make arrangements ahead of time at either Algonquin Bound or the portage store as you're coming in. They can deliver them to the park for you if you want, for a delivery fee, and you can pick up your PFD, your paddles, and your safety kit on your way through. We had to drive out to get ours because we didn't make arrangements. We didn't know what the weather was going to be like, and so that made it extremely challenging because we had to go back on that road again. And yeah, that wasn't fun. But we're really looking forward to canoeing here because it's so gorgeous. So we're hoping it was worth the aggravation of driving back on that highway. Francois at Algonquin Bound was fantastic and he was very helpful. So we're looking forward to that. And we get that canoe today around 10 o'clock and we have it right up until the day that we leave, which will be Wednesday. So today is Monday and we have it until Wednesday. So fingers crossed, lots of canoeing. And there's the view of Grand Lake. It's very quiet and tranquil this morning. There are a family of loons on the lake. We were watching them yesterday teach their youngins how to take off because it's a bit of a complicated thing when your feet are penguin-like. Chloe!
She went swimming and then she frapped everywhere. I recorded it for you.
Do you want me to go swimming?
She frapped everywhere.
Of course. You sound like a ghost of a loon.
I can't do loon. Loon is a very special call.
I can do loony. Back to the berries. She's thinking about it. Oh, you just ruined somebody's sandcastle.
She's helping.
She's
She
like,
fixed the moat.
she fixed the moat. Yeah. Good job. She's a moat fixer. Here, I'll make a new moat over here. There you go.
Right. Come on. Yeah! Let's go!
What a beautiful, calm morning.
Mm-hmm. Up, up. This way. This way. Yeah. Yeah.
Here's a spot where a red squirrel, possibly a chipmunk, but probably a red squirrel, sat and ate a green pine cone from a white pine. And I see a woodpecker off there in the distance.
I see a very illustrious puppy dog.
Look at how happy she looks up there.
She was up there for a while. No, we're not going down there. We had this talk already.
There's a doggy out in the outback somewhere.
In a canoe, maybe.
So this is the loop back. You basically go out, check out the outcropping where Tom Thomson sat and made his work of art.
Pine.
Then you can, if you want to, continue down to the sandy beach. And then you make your way back the same way. So it's a great little trail. You definitely spend more time on it by spending time on that beach. Or sitting and enjoying the view. What you doing, boo? What you doing?
Come on down. Very good.
Keep going. Up, up, up.
Very good.
Up, up, up.
Over. Yay. Over.
Up, 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 up. One more.
Over.
One more.
One more.
Good
Very
girl.
good.
Out on Grand Lake, Achray Campground in Algonquin Park. It's beautiful back here.